Uh, Shiva, Shiva, I know there are two databases created on this server, but I want
Okay.
to know whether both the databases are running or not. So how should I check it?
Hold on.
What command can I use in order to check whether both the databases are up or not? PS minus
Process
F
we need to check. Process we need to check.
just will check it for the PMON. If PMON is up and running, that means both the databases are running. So if you see here, PMON is running for demo as well as for test. So these are we have to check how many databases are running on the server. Okay.
Okay.
If you want to know how many databases are created on the server, we'll go ahead and check it in etc or a tab. Because if the database are not up and running, you cannot get it with ps-f command. So you have to check it in a static file, which is etc or a tab, to get the entries of the databases which are created on the server.
Okay. What is the path? Here, etc or a?
/etc/ora tab.
Okay. Okay.
This will be created as part of root.sh script after the installation.
Okay.
Okay. Now I'll set the Oracle SID to demo. Let us see what is the Oracle SID. Okay, the Oracle SID is set to test. I want to connect to the demo server. Okay, I want to connect to a demo database. My Oracle SID will be set to test, but still I want to connect to demo database. So
Okay.
what is the way I mean, like, if I want to connect to the demo database without setting Oracle SID, what is the way I can use in order to connect a different database? Using TNS entry, we can connect to the demo database. You don't need to set Oracle SID. If you are using TNS entry, if you are using
Okay.
TNS connection string name, you don't need to set Oracle SID, because in the connection string itself, you'll specify to which database
Yeah.
you want to connect to. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll create a TNS names.tora file. You already know this will be used to store the connection string information. So here I'll specify the IP address, which is 1.1, which is 1.70, not 107, it's 70. We already saw it yesterday, right? It was 70. And the port on which the service is running is 1524.
Yeah.
And the service name is demo1. This name you can give whatever you want. I mean, like, you can give it as demo, you can give it as mo1, whatever you want, but it should be a meaningful one. Okay. So I'll just add it as demo only. But remember, this name can be any name. This is just a name, alias name given to the entire connection string.
Okay.
Starting from the description part, it is called as the connection string entries, and the total connection string we gave an alias name as demo. such that whenever you are trying to connect to a database, instead of specifying the whole connection string, we'll just specify the connection string name.
Okay.
Now, in order to check whether the TNS entry you added it to the TNS names, etc., it's working or not, we have to use a utility called as TNS ping space demo. So this will show you whether it is able to communicate with the listener or not. Okay. So if the message is okay, that means it is able to connect to the listener. The same thing if I modify the entry with a different port number, and we'll see what will happen. So I'll make it as 1540. Now if I do TNS ping demo, you can see the listener is not up and running. The message, it says TNS no listener. So this is how you have to check. This is how you have to validate the TNS entry.
Okay.
TNS ping followed by connection string name. Okay, now if I want to connect to demo, I'll just do /tiger @demo.
Then
Okay, select name from $, database. Okay, I'll just do def. You can see it here. The database name. Okay. Okay, but it is connected to the demo database. Okay, these are will connect to the database. Even though the Oracle SID is set to test, if you want to connect to a different database using the connection string entry, we can connect. In a similar way, from the remote machine also, if you want to connect to the database, you'll use the connection string. You'll add it into the TNS names, and using that connection string name, you'll connect to the database. Okay. The other option is you can also connect to the database using the Easy Connect option. So during Easy Connect option, we'll specify username / password @hostname, which is 192.168.1.70, followed by port number. So you should use :port number / service name, which is demo1. So if you don't want to use the entry in the TNS names, etc., if you want to give the details at the command line interface itself, you can give the details like this: hostname :port number / service name. You can also connect using Easy Connect method. Okay. Now I'll just connect to the first. Let me give grant debate to Scott. Okay. Okay. If you see here, select name from VW database. Okay, I'm connected to test database. Okay, and I'll invoke another session. I'll connect to the demo database here. Just I'm giving this privilege such that Scott user can view VW database view. Okay, so this is demo database and this is test database. Okay, now I have a table here called as emp underscore emp underscore temp. I want to copy this table from test database to demo database. So that means from within the database, I want to communicate with another database and I want to copy entire data from the source database. So in order to perform this kind of activities, we'll use an object called as database link. Within the database, if you want to connect to any other database, we'll use database links. From outside the database, using the connection string, you can connect to a different database. But within the database, if you want to connect to a different, we'll use database links. Now, there are two types of database links. One is public database link and the other one is private database link. It is similar to the way we create public synonyms and private synonyms. So public database link can be used by all the users in a database, whereas private is specific to a user. Okay?
Okay.
And also in public data, okay, first let us go ahead and create private database link and then I'll show you what is the difference between a private and public. So to create a private database link, the command will be create database link name. I'll give it as demo only. Connect to Scott identified by Tiger using demo1 demo. So once you create the database link and whenever you're using this database link, it will connect to the source database, which is okay. Wait, here I want to connect to the test database, right? So I'll make it as test, not demo. I'll make it as test because I want to copy the content from test database to demo. So that means I'll create a database link on the demo database which will point to test. Once I create the database link, whenever I'm accessing this DB link, it will connect to the database. It will connect to the test database as Scott user. And whenever it is trying to connect to the database as Scott user, the password also I'm providing it here. So it will be identified by Tiger. These will create a database link. So let me go ahead and create a database link. One second. Let me make it as test because it is pointing to test. I'll try to create it again. We'll see what will happen. Okay, so these will create the database link. So create database link name. After that, connect to the username identified by the password using test. And this password should be the password of source database, which is test database, not demo. Okay.
Oh,
Now I want to select the rows, or if you want to select all the data from emp underscore temp table which is present in test database, I'll do select star from score dot emp underscore temp at the rate test. So this is how we can access information from another database. Select star from table name at the rate db link name. But will this work or not?
sure.
It will not work. The reason for that
Yeah.
is we are using the connection string test and we don't have the entry in the TNS names Atora for test. So we need to add the TNS entry. Okay. This is nothing but a connection string alias name. The using clause will specify a connection string alias name. So it will try to find the entry for test in TNS names Atora. But there is no entry for test. We need to add it. I'll make the service name as test. Okay, TNS ping says no listener.
I mean, demo
Yeah,
we have to change.
yeah. Okay. So now my command will work. So this will fetch all the information from this c/ttt/tt. Okay. This will fetch all the information from source database. But I want to copy this into a table. Okay. Right now in the demo database, I want to copy emp underscore temp, the content of emp underscore temp as emp underscore demo. So what will be the command in order to copy data from one table to into another table? Sure, Ashish. What will be the command in order to copy data from one table to another table?
Insert, I mean, insert
Mm-hmm.
the table name, insert into table name
Mm-hmm.
values like select star from emp underscore table.
Okay, there should not be values clause there. It should be just insert into
Yeah.
emp underscore demo select star from
Select star.
score dot emp underscore temp at the rate test. But here I don't have emp underscore demo table. I want to create the table too. So in that case, what command should I use? I want to create the table as well as I want to copy the data.
Uh, uh, Create emp demo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
As select star from.
Star from, yeah.
So that is a command to copy the data, and this one it will create the
Okay.
table as well as it will copy the data. I'll just go for 1000 rows because there are, it's huge table. I'll just copy 1000 rows. So I can give it here where row num less than 1000. That means only 99 rows will be copied. Okay, now select count of star from emp underscore demp. Okay. Okay, these are will use the database links. So whenever you want to copy the data or whenever you're referring to any objects which are present in a different database, in that case we have to use the database links. Okay.
Yeah.
Now in private database link we'll specify to which user you have to connect to and what is the credential of that user. You provide the credentials and also you'll provide the username as which you want to log into the database while creating the private database link. But in case of public database link, the command will be create public database link name. I'll give it as test underscore public using test. So this is the command to create the public database link. You'll not specify the username as well as password. As a result, whenever you're trying to access the objects using the public database link, it will use the current login credentials. That means in demo database, if you log in as Scott user, and if you're referring to the DB link as temp @test underscore pub, it will use the current database credentials, current login credentials. That means it will use the current username and current password in order to connect to the target database.
Okay.
So, I mean, like in the test database also, if the password matches with the source database, in that case, it will allow the connection. If the password is different, it will not allow. So for public database link, the user credentials on source and target should be same.
Okay.
And all the users in the database can use that public database link, provided if they have the same username on the other database also. Is it clear?
Yeah.
Let us go ahead and create the public database link too. Okay, now the public DB link is created. I'll do select star from emp scott.emp @test underscore pub. Okay, so it was able to go to the source database and it was able to retrieve the information. Now I'll connect to demo. I'll connect to test. Select name from database. Okay, I'm connected to test database. Now I want to modify the password of Scott user. I'll just change the password. Will the DB link work this time? If I issue the same command again, will it work or not?
No, it won't work.
Yeah, because we changed the password. The password doesn't match
Yeah.
with the source database. Okay. Test underscore pub underscore identified by. Okay. The thing is, like, we need to disconnect and connect again. Okay. Now I issue the same command, it will not work. It says invalid username and password.
Okay.
So to use the public database link, source and target should have the same user credentials.
Okay.
Next, I want to create a view on emp underscore temp table, but the table will be present in test database and I want to create a view on demo database. Okay, can you give me the command to create a view?
Create view emp underscore demo.
Yeah, I'll make it as emp underscore
Okay.
demo underscore vw. Okay. Select star from emp underscore temp scott.emp underscore temp @ I'll go ahead and use the test database link name.
Yeah.
Will this work this time?
Select create view test database.
Remember
No,
the password is changed.
Password is different,
Yeah,
right?
the
Yeah,
password which we provide in the DB link has tiger
Yeah.
and we change it to Arkle. So we have to
Correct.
change it back to tiger again. Okay. Hmm. Okay. Now I was able to create the view. Now what will happen each and every time I access the view, what will happen? If I do select star from emp underscore demo underscore vw, what will happen? From where it has to fetch the information? From demo itself or from test?
From test we are already created that view. From test it will fetch that record, sir.
Why? I create the view on demo, right? Why it will fetch the information from test?
But view formula is like we are
Yes,
getting the data
yes.
from test.
Yeah. View is nothing but it will just have the DDL, what it has to do. Whenever a user is trying to access the view, what query should run against the base tables in order to fetch the information. So each and every time I refer to this view name, it actually executes the command select star from scott.emp underscore temp at the rate test.
Yes.
So let us go ahead and check the size of emp underscore temp. Select. So how do I check the size of a table? Which view will give me information about segments?
DBA underscore segments.
Yes. So in that we have to go for segment underscore name and bytes column.
Okay.
If you see here, the size of the table is 96 MB. So
Okay.
each time I'm trying to access the view over the network, the data will be copied. Right now, both the databases are on the same server. But in the real time, the source will be on different server and the target will be on different server. That means each time I'm trying to access the view, 96 MB of information should travel across the network and it should be displayed back to the user. That means it will take a lot of time and also it will take a lot of network usage.
Okay.
So this is one of the disadvantage of a view. So if the source table, if the base tables are present in a different database, then it will consume lot of network usage and also the data retrieval will be slower because it has to copy all the data from the source database to the target each time you're trying to access a view. Okay, so
Okay.
to overcome this kind of problems, we have another type of object in the database called as materialized views. So these are called as materialized views. The reason is even though they are views, they will have an associated table. So if I
Okay.
create a materialized view, create materialized view, view name, I'll make it as emp underscore temp underscore mv as select star from emp underscore temp at the rate test. I don't have to specify the username here because using the DB link name I'm connecting to the Scott user. So by default, if I'm not giving any schema name, it will try to fetch the information from that schema itself, from that user itself. Okay. If I would have
Okay.
logged in as a different user in the DB link, then I have to specify select star from owner name dot table name. But it is always
Oh,
recommended to use owner name dot table name.
okay.
So once we create the materialized view, it will create a table with the same name as a materialized view. So this command I will execute on demo database. Once I execute this command on the demo database itself, it will create a table with the same name as the view name. which will be emp underscore temp underscore mv. Okay, and it will copy the data from source, which is from emp underscore temp, and it will store it into this table. For example, the 96 MB of information will be copied and it will store it in this table. Okay.
Okay.
So now each time I'm accessing the view, it will fetch the information from this base table. It will not go to the source. It will not try to copy the data.
Oh.
But the problem with this kind of objects is it will not have the real-time data. For example, if the source once we copy the data from source to the target, after that, if there are some modifications or if there are some new rows being inserted into the table, you will not have that content in the demo database. The reason for that is it will only refresh once.
Okay.
So whenever the real-time data is not required, if you take reporting kind of applications, for example, if you take your credit cards, for each and like end of the cycle, it will generate the report, right?
Yeah.
So that means if you copy the data from source to the target for each and every month, then that data is sufficient to generate the reports.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So whenever there is no requirement for the real-time data, you can go ahead and create the materialized views in order to avoid network usage. And also, depending upon the requirement, you can refresh the materialized view for 1 hour, 6 hours, or for 1 month or 1 day, depending upon the requirement.
Okay.
Oh, card drop jala. So in contrast to traditional view, a materialized view will also have a table and it will also consume space.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the error, can you guess what caused the issue?
Some system. Yeah, space is over.
Yeah, so what should I do now?
Yeah, like commit. You can use commit.
See here, it is not related to undo. It is not related to undo. Look at the output.
Temp
It's
setting.
not related to undo. It is not related to temp. Look at the output. It says unable to extend temp segment by 128 in table space users.
Yo, table space. Yeah.
So users table space doesn't have sufficient space to accommodate emp underscore temp underscore mv table. So
Okay.
let us go ahead and check the free space available in the users table space.
Okay.
So which view will give me the information? ఇదే క్వశ్చన్ 4 times అడిగిన కంటిన్యూస్ గా 4 days లో db underscore free underscore space.
Free space. Yeah.
Okay. Why the error occurred?
Properly. Table space. No, where table space name like users group by table space name.
Yeah. Always group by should followed by where.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So if you see here, the free space on user's table space is 28 MB, which is not sufficient to hold 96 MB of information. So
Okay.
let us go ahead and change. I have to do the resize, right?
Yeah.
But to do the resize, I have to know what is the current size of the table space.
Correct.
So which view will give me the current size of the table space?
The
db underscore data underscore files.
data.
దాంట్లో వెళ్తావా? Okay. Just current size is 30 MB.
Yeah.
So we require additional 75 MB because 28 MB is there. So we'll add additional 75 MB. So I'll resize the data file to 105 MB. I don't know whether I have sufficient space on the mount point. So let us go ahead and check it in the meanwhile. Okay. Database has 831 MB. So we'll be good. Okay. Now I'll issue the command again. Okay. Now the metallurgy is created. So we'll do select object underscore name, object underscore type from db underscore objects. This is the view which will give you information about all the objects present in the database.
Yeah.
So if you see here, with the same name as metallurgy name, a table is also created.
Okay.
Now if I do select star from emp underscore temp underscore mv, I'll get the data from demo database itself. It will not go to test. So I'll just do select count of star from emp underscore temp underscore mv. Okay. So this is the count of number of rows. I'll go ahead and create another row into this test database such that you can see the difference whether it is getting the information from test or whether it's getting the information from demo itself. If the row number
Yeah.
differs, then you'll get it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll insert one more row. Insert into emp underscore temp select star from. I'll insert probably 12 rows, 16 rows. Commit. count of star from emp underscore temp. If you see here, the number of rows are 168. This one will still 152. The same command, if I go for select count of star from emp underscore temp underscore vw. This is the view. What was the name? Okay, I made it as emp demo vw.
Demo.
See, this one is going to fetch the information from the source, so it will have the real-time data, but MATLAB will not. Now, in order to refresh the changes which are made in the source database and the target also, we have to refresh the MATLAB view. Meaning, we have to recopy the data from source to the target. Now, during this copy, you have other options, like you can do a complete refresh. That means you can again copy the entire data from the source table, or else you can perform an incremental refresh. That means you can only copy the rows which are inserted. There are two types of refreshes we can do for MATLAB views in order to get the data from source database, in order to refresh the data from source database. One is complete refresh, the second is incremental refresh. Complete refresh means it will truncate the table on the demo. Here it will truncate the table. That means it will truncate emp underscore temp underscore vw and then copy the entire data from emp underscore temp. If you go for incremental refresh, it will not truncate the existing data. It will just copy the changes which are made after the refresh.
Okay.
First, I'll show you how to do a complete refresh. After that, I'll show you how to do an incremental refresh. Execute dbms underscore mview dot refresh. dbms underscore mview is the package which we use in order to refresh the MATLAB views. As we are doing complete refresh, we'll specify it as C. C stands for complete refresh. Now this will refresh the table. The total, it will completely refresh. Okay, could not dbms snapshot error. Could not find the program unit being called. Okay, I'll not be able to show you that. There are some problems with the dbms underscore snapshot. It will take a lot of time in order to figure out this issue. I need to check all the code and I need to recompile it. But this is a way we can do a complete refresh. Okay, execute dbms underscore mview dot refresh emp underscore temp view name and then the complete refresh. That means it will delete the data from the source. It will delete the data from emp demo mv and then it will copy the data from test database to the demo database. Now there is other way approach. The better approach is incremental refresh. So in order to do the incremental refresh, we'll use the same command, but instead of C, we have to specify F. F stands for fast refresh or incremental refresh. Okay. this command can be used to perform an incremental refresh. This will only copy the 16 rows which we were inserted. But here the problem is, I mean, like, there should be something in order to track what are the changes happening on the table. ఇప్పుడు జస్ట్ 16 rows కాపీ చేయాలంటే దానికి ఏదో ఒక ఏదో ఎక్కడో ఒక దగ్గర ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ రాయాలి కదా, exact changes ఎక్కడైతే ఉన్నాయో. So to get the exact differences or exact modifications which are made after the complete refresh, it will have an object called as materialized view log. So a materialized view log will be created on the source database, which is test. We'll create a materialized view on the source, materialized view log on the source database. That is nothing but it will store, it is similar to the redo log file, but the redo log file will store the information of all the transactions which are running on the database, whereas materialized view log will only store the transactions which are happening on a specific object. As a result, using that log file, it will know what are the transactions which are performed against the table, and according to that it will refresh.
Okay.
Create materialized view log emp underscore temp underscore mv underscore log. I think I cannot give materialized view log name. I have to just do create materialized view log on emp underscore temp. That's it. Does not contain any primary condition. Yeah, and whenever you're trying to create a materialized view log, the table should have a primary key constraint. A materialized view log can be created only for a table with a primary key constraint.
Okay.
And I cannot create a primary key constraint on the table because there are a lot of duplicate data. You already know I just copied the data into the table, the same data, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it will take a lot of time again to make it unique, and it will be only 16 rows again.
Okay.
Yeah, but these are, will create a materialized view log. Create materialized view log on table name. After that, we'll use execute dbms underscore mv dot refresh, and then we'll use f option.
Okay.
Any doubts about materialized views?
Generally, I mean, which one we will prefer?
Yeah, అంటే రిపోర్టింగ్ కైండ్ ఆఫ్ అప్లికేషన్స్ OLAP లో ఉంటే మీరు విల్ గో ఫర్ materialized views. If you are in OLTP, then you go for view.
No, అది కాదండి. ఇంక్రిమెంటల్కి వెళ్తామా లేకపోతే
it depends అండ్ అగైన్ ఎందుకు అంటే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ పార్టీషన్ టేబుల్స్ ఉంటాయి అనమాట. For each and every day a partition will be added into the table.
Okay.
So that means a DDL change is occurring on the table.
Okay.
So whenever you have a DDL change, you cannot perform an incremental refresh.
Okay.
So if there is a DDL change, it cannot perform an incremental refresh. The reason for that is once after the DDL change, whatever the content is present in the materialized view log will be overwritten. It will have nothing. It will start it from the beginning again. So as a result, it cannot perform an incremental refresh. So depending upon how the source table is modified, we'll decide whether we have to go for a complete or whether we have to go for an incremental.
Okay.
And ఇంకొకటి, ఆ టేబుల్ మీద ఎక్కువ ఇన్సర్ట్స్ అప్డేట్స్ జరుగుతుంటే it will generate lot of materialized view logs. So depending upon that also we'll decide whether we have to go for a complete or an incremental.
Okay.
And also the frequency matters. If you go for a 1 hour frequency, it is better to go for incremental refresh. If you go for a daily refresh, then it's better to go for a complete refresh.
లాగ్ పేజ్ చూడాలంటే మనం ఏ పార్ట్ చూస్తాము?
లేదండి, చూడలేము, కాకపోతే ఒక వ్యూ ఉంటుంది. Select view underscore name from underscore this. ఎప్పుడైనా మీకు వ్యూ నేమ్ గుర్తుకు లేదు, జస్ట్ పార్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద వ్యూ నేమ్ గుర్తుంటే ఇలా సెర్చ్ చేస్తాను నేను. Underscore name
like
percentile log percentile. Okay. dbm underscore mv underscore logs. This will give you the information about those logs. But actually you cannot see the actual content.
No.
It will have some X or something. It will have some internal representations, so you cannot see it actually. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
ఏమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉన్నాయి ఇంకా? Okay, next we'll see about how to create a trigger and what is a trigger. For example, if you remember, Girish asked me, like in the beginning of the class, he asked me, if I want to know who updated a row on a table,
Okay.
then I said we can create a trigger on the table and we can store that related
Whenever
information.
it's
Who modified that?
oh,
So that
okay.
means
Whenever
it
it's
trigger.
updated,
Yeah,
you can.
yeah. Trigger
Yeah.
is nothing but it will be. I mean, like you can create a trigger on a DML statement. That means you can create a trigger on insert, delete, or update statements. And
Okay.
once you are trying to insert, update, or delete a table, a trigger on that table will be fired. సో ఆటోమేటికల్గా ఒక ఇన్సర్ట్ జరిగినప్పుడు ట్రిగ్గర్ ఫైర్ అవుతుంది అనమాట. సో ట్రిగ్గర్ ఫైర్ అయ్యి
Yeah.
ట్రిగ్గర్లో మీరు ఏదైతే యాక్షన్ ఇస్తారో ఆ యాక్షన్ కూడా రన్ అవుతుంది. సో ఇఫ్ ఇన్
Okay.
కేస్ ఇఫ్ ఐ వాంట్ టు ఆడిట్ హూ ఈస్ మోడిఫైయింగ్ దట్ డేటా, సో ఆఫ్టర్ ద ఇన్సర్ట్ I'll create a trigger such that within the trigger it will store the information regarding the user details into a table.
Okay.
అలా అది కాకుండా నేను ఒక సింపుల్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ తీసుకొని చూపిస్తాను మీకు. Now the requirement is I don't want any users to perform an insert into EMP table
Okay.
because I want to modify some things in EMP table. So during that modification I don't want the users to modify anything on EMP table.
Okay.
So that means I'll create a trigger before the insert it should fire. So whenever we are creating an trigger, we can specify whether it should act or whether it should fire before the DML statement or after the DML statement. So
Okay.
this time, as I should not allow the insert, I should create a trigger before insert because insert should not happen.
Okay.
So I'll do create trigger. I'll just copy it from here. Okay, so these are will create a trigger, create or replace. That means if it will try to create a new trigger, and also I'm specifying or replace. That means if there is an existing trigger called as trigger underscore demo, it will be overwritten with the new DDL.
Okay.
Then I'm doing before insert. The reason for that is I don't want to perform an insert on EMP table. So let me modify that EMP1 underscore 1 to EMP. It's not EMP underscore 1, it's EMP. And so this will fire before the insert, and it will raise an error saying that insert cannot be performed. So whenever the user is trying to insert into EMP table, he will get an error saying the error number will be or something, and then it will say insert cannot be performed. So first let us go ahead and create the trigger. Okay, the trigger is created. Now if I do insert into EMP, ename, EMP number, values, Puneet, 400. See here, insert cannot be performed and the ORA number is this one because I specified the
Yeah.
number here. This should be my error number. So the error number displayed with that specific number, and it said insert cannot be performed. And it also says it is fired from the trigger scott.trigger underscore demo.
Okay.
So these are we can create a trigger. Remember, we can create a trigger before or after the DML statements. That means we can create a trigger before insert, before update, before delete, and also after insert, after delete, and after update.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yeah.
ఇంకా ఎక్స్టెన్షన్స్ ఉన్నాయి ట్రిగ్గర్లో. వీ కెన్ క్రియేట్ ఎ లాగ్ ఆన్ ట్రిగ్గర్, లాగ్ ఆఫ్ ట్రిగ్గర్. దట్ మీన్స్ వెనర్ ద యూజర్ లాగ్స్ ఇన్ టు ద డేటాబేస్, ద ట్రిగ్గర్ విల్ బి ఫైర్డ్. ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఆన్ అ స్పెసిఫిక్ టేబుల్, ఇట్ ఈస్ ఆన్ ద డేటాబేస్. సో ఒకసారి మీరు లాగిన్ అవుతే ఆ ట్రిగ్గర్ ఫైర్ అయ్యి యూజర్ లాగిన్ అయ్యాడన్న ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ కూడా క్యాప్చర్ చేస్తుంది అనమాట.
Okay.
ఇన్ ఎ సిమిలర్ వే లాగ్ ఆఫ్ అయినప్పుడు. సో అలా డేటాబేస్ లెవెల్ ట్రిగ్గర్స్ కూడా ఉంటాయి.
Okay.
సో ఇఫ్ యూ వాంట్ లైక్ యూ కెన్ డూ సమ్ మోర్ రీసెర్చ్ ఆన్ దట్.
Okay. Yeah. సపోజ్ మనం లాగిన్ గానే కొన్ని స్క్రిప్ట్స్ రన్ కావాలన్నా కానీ
Yeah,
ఆ
అది
స్క్రిప్ట్స్ రన్
చేస్తుంది. Yeah,
చేయడానికి
yep.
యా
Okay, na? So I'm just showing you the
Yeah,
idea.
that's right.
This is how we can create a tree.
Yeah. That's fine.
Next, I'll show how to create a function. For example, if you take select sum of bytes, here the sum is nothing but a function, right?
Yeah.
So it is summing up all the rows particular to that column. In a similar way, we can also create some user-defined functions. These are Oracle provided functions. In a similar way, we can also create user-defined functions. So I'll just take a simple example again. Yeah. So here what I'm doing is like, I want to, whenever, yeah, I have a criteria where I have to get information about employee number 100. So I'm just creating a function with that select statement. I'll create a function here. After getting the function, you'll know what it does actually. Okay. So I'm just creating the function here. These are will create the function. Create or replace function name. Here the return varchar. That means every time the function will have a return type. Because if you are using sum of bytes, it is returning a value, right?
Yes.
Sum of bytes, it's returning a value. That means a function should have a return value. So that is the reason why after create or replace function name will also specify return and then the return data type. So the return value will be in character here. Return value will be in varchar. If you are returning a integer value, in that case you'll specify return number. After that we'll specify is followed by some variable name. I'm declaring a variable here which is called as emp underscore name, and that variable type is varchar of 20. Now I'm doing a begin here and I'm selecting the information. I'm just selecting ename, and that ename will be stored in emp underscore name variable.
Okay.
Emp underscore name is nothing but varchar of 20. That means it can hold up to 20 characters. So the ename, it will be stored into emp underscore name. After that, from emp, where emp number is equal to 100. That means it is storing the employee name informations of employee number 100. And then it will return that employee names. So it will return all the employee names who belongs to emp number 100.
Yeah.
But while I'm creating the function, it actually created with compilation errors. So whenever we have this kind of things, whenever a function is created with a compilation errors, we have to use the command show space errors. This will show you the errors which occurred during the function creation. Okay, it says on line 2 followed by 17th column, encountered symbol flower brace when expecting one of the following: dot, at the rate, percentile and semicolon. So okay, there was a flower brace act. No, it's a square. Okay, it's correct only. Written varchar 2 of 20, but there should not be semicolon there actually. So that caused the issue. ఒకసారి చూద్దాం ఆగండి. Define underscore editor 2 of 20. Let us remove the semicolon and try once. Same thing. Create or replace function name. Let me check once. మనం ఎప్పుడు రాయం ఇది, జస్ట్ మీకు ఎగ్జాంపుల్ కోసం చూపిస్తున్నా అంతే.
Yeah. Brackets.
ఓకే, సెమికాలన్ అయితే ఉండదు. ద నెక్స్ట్ థింగ్,
బ్రాకెట్స్ లో ఇచ్చిన రిటర్న్ వ్యాఖ్యాన్ని బ్రాకెట్స్ లో ఇచ్చిన.
లేదు, రిటర్న్ నెంబర్ ఇక్కడ ఉంది కదా, ఇక్కడ రిటర్న్ నెంబర్ ఉంది. సో ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్స్ ఉండొచ్చు,
Okay.
ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్స్ ఉండకపోవచ్చు. ఈ కేసులో ఆర్గ్యుమెంట్స్ లేవు.
ఓకే.
ఎండ్ తర్వాత బ్యాక్ స్లాష్ ఉంటుందా?
ఎండ్ తర్వాత లేదు లేదు.
ఓకే 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 అక్కడ యా.
బ్రాకెట్
అంటే వార్కర్ కూడా ఉంటుంది
Okay.
కదా టైపు.
సేమ్ ఉంటుంది కదా.
Yeah. మళ్ళీ ఒకసారి ట్రై చేద్దాం.
యా
Same thing. Select ename into emp underscore name from emp where emp number equal to 100. Return emp underscore name and slash correct and యాక్చువల్గా అంతా కరెక్ట్ ఉంది.
ప్రాక్టీస్ చేసేప్పుడు నేను చూస్తానండి అయిపోతే.
యా, ఇదే తీసుకోండి, ఇదే కోడ్ తీసుకోండి, నేను పింగ్ చేస్తాను,
Yeah,
నాకు చెప్పండి.
yeah. Okay, yeah.
So once we create the function, we can use that function. For example, I'll do select employer underscore details underscore function of, for example, I want to know about employee number 10. I'll just give the 10 as an argument, and then I'll do from dual. So it will return the employee names who belong to the employee number 10.
Yeah.
So these are we can create a function, and these are we can use the function.
Okay.
Next, procedure. We'll see what is a procedure. It is similar to the function. The only difference is a procedure will not return a value, whereas function will return a value. So that means whenever you're trying to perform a select statement, you can use a function, but you cannot use a procedure, because procedure will not return a value. That is the only difference between a function and a procedure. So we'll see how to create a procedure. Then okay, so see here, procedure will be created as create or replace procedure name. After that, actually, um, the necessary of creating a procedure, what I'm doing here is like I'm fetching each and every row from EMP table and I'm displaying it back. But while I'm displaying it back, I'm displaying it as EMP number, e-name, job and salary. These are the columns I'm fetching from the EMP table. But the output should be in a format with a delimiter, comma. Usually when you are selecting the columns from the table, they'll be delimited by tab or space. There'll be a lot of difference between those, I mean like each and every column, right? If I do select star from EMP, it will be displayed like this one, space, e-name, space, and then the job, and then salary. But now I want to display it with the delimiter, comma, instead of space. So I'm fetching the information from EMP table and I'm displaying back with the delimiter, comma. So that's why I'm concatenating each and every column with single quote, comma. I told you how to use a concatenation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here, well, I'm trying to fetch the information from EMP table. If I'm trying to fetch 100 rows from EMP table, where those 100 rows should fetch into? In a procedure, I'm trying to fetch 100 rows. Is there any data type to hold 100 rows? There'll be no data type to hold 100 rows. So instead of that, what we will do is like we'll create a cursor. A cursor will store the address, or it will point to those 100 rows. So in order to create a cursor, the command will be cursor name. After that is, and then we will specify what rows it should hold. So cursor name is select EMP number, e-name, job, salary from EMP. So that means it will hold the address of 16 rows corresponding to EMP number, e-name, job and salary.
Okay.
After that, I'm declaring a variable. EMP underscore rec is a variable, and the type of the variable is percentile row type. The percentile, I'm giving it as EMP underscore cur percentile row type. So what is the row which is fetched into EMP underscore cur? It has EMP number, e-name, job and salary, correct?
Yeah.
So now if I'm doing percentile row type, that means it will have the data type combining of EMP number, e-name, job and salary. That means this variable can fetch one row. This variable can store one row.
Okay.
Because a row will have data type as date, varchar, number, correct or not? So combination of data types. So we cannot use a specific data type while declaring a variable in order to hold a row. So that is the reason why we'll use percentile row type. After that, I'm beginning and then I'm opening the cursor. It will just point to that address. So I have to open that and I'll to use loop and then I'll fetch each and every row. If you see here, I'm fetching each and every row from the cursor. Fetch emp underscore cur into emp underscore rec. That means I'm fetching each and every row from this cursor and I'm storing it in emp underscore rec. Once I fetch that into emp underscore rec, I'll do print emp number, ename, salary, job. So until when this should fetch the information until there are no rows left in the emp table. So for that we'll use this criteria, exit when emp underscore cur percentile no found. That means there are no rows. So once there are no rows, it will exit from the loop.
Okay. Exit. Okay.
Yeah. So basically మీరు 3 నేర్చుకోవాలి ఇక్కడ. ఒకటి కర్సర్ అంటే it will point to set of records. Next, percentile row type means it can hold a specific row. After that, whenever you are referring to a cursor, whenever you are trying to use a cursor, you need to open that cursor, you need to fetch the cursor into a specific variable and then you need to print back. And what should be the exit criteria for the cursor? It should be percentile not found.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now if I execute, okay, as I created the procedure, in order to execute the procedure, the command will be execute demo. Okay, demo is the procedure name. So okay, sorry, if you want to display the output from the procedure, we have to use set server output on, otherwise the output will not be printed.
Okay.
Set server output on. Okay, execute demo. So you can see the information from emp table and they are delimited with comma. Okay.
Okay.
Now information about all the objects will be present in db underscore objects. So procedure, function, trigger, whatever we created, it will be stored under db underscore objects. And remember, procedures, functions, triggers, views will not consume any space. So they will not fall under segments. So you cannot get them with db underscore segments.
Okay.
Okay. Next,
Okay.
I'll tell you about partitioning tables. So if you see at emp underscore temp table, it has 96 MB of information, right?
Okay.
And whenever I'm trying to fetch the information from, say for example, select start from emp, where emp number equal to 10. The thing is like, for example, let us think that I created an index emp underscore temp where emp number equal to 10. So first, when I issue this command, it will check whether there are any indexes created on emp number. So think that an index is created on emp number.
Table name Ravi.
Intending? Yeah.
Table name Ravi.
Yeah.
Yes.
So first it will check whether there are any index created on emp number. Think that the index is created. So it will use that index. It will check the specific address related to emp number 10. So the number of employees who are with emp number 10 are around 1 lakh rows. That means an index will have the address of those 1 lakh rows, correct or not?
Yeah.
So it needs to search. The first thing is it needs to search the entire index in order to find the corresponding address of the rows with employee number 10. Then
Yeah.
it has to go to the table and it has to fetch the information pertaining to emp number 10 and it has to give it back to the user. Now the thing is like the entire index needs to be scanned. It will take a lot of time. Instead of that, if we'll create a partitioning table such that the employee number 10 will go to one partition, employee number 20 will go to another partition, employee number 30 will go to another partition. As a result, when I'm trying to fetch the information about employee number 10, it will directly go to that specific partition.
Okay.
It will fetch the information. And not only that, it is very easy to manage a bigger table. ఒక బిగ్ టేబుల్ ఉందనుకోండి, ఒక 220 టెరాబైట్ ఒక 10 టెరాబైట్ టేబుల్ ఉందనుకోండి, దాంట్లో ఒక స్పెసిఫిక్ పార్టీషన్ మీకు కావాలి అనుకోండి, ఐ మీన్ లైక్ మామూలుగా ఇక్కడ డెవలప్మెంట్ టెస్ట్ యూఐటీ ప్రొడక్షన్ ఉంటుంది అనమాట. సో ప్రొడక్షన్ లో ఉన్న డేటా మీకు డెవ్ టెస్ట్ లో కావాలన్నప్పుడు జస్ట్ మోడర్న్ ఐ మీన్ రీసెంట్ డేటా కావాలి మీకు. సో ఇన్ దట్ కేస్ విల్ జస్ట్ గో ఫర్ ద లేటెస్ట్ పార్టీషన్ అండ్ విల్ పుట్ ఇట్ ఇన్ టు ద లోవర్ వర్షన్స్, ఐ మీన్ లైక్ లోవర్ ఎన్విరాన్మెంట్స్.
Oh.
It is easy to manage with the partition tables. So in order to create a partition table, we'll use create table name emp underscore temp underscore partition, and we cannot create a non-partition table into a partition table. Right now the emp underscore temp is non-partition table.
Okay.
Our non-partition table direct ga manam partition table create cheyalem. We have to create a new partition table. We need to copy the data from emp underscore temp. After that, we have to drop the emp underscore temp.
Oh. Then EMP table will not, EMP underscore temp will not be available then. We'll use next from next.
Yeah, again we have to rename the table.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So create table emp underscore temp underscore partition. We'll give it as, let us go ahead and check the commands. I mean like, let us just grab emp underscore temp.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, these are the columns. After that, we have to specify partition by range. So I'm partitioning the table based upon.
Hide it through the command.
యా ఇచ్చానండి ఇక్కడ. ఓ దాన్ని కూడా మిస్ చేశానా? ఓకే, యా మాడిఫై చేసిన తర్వాత నౌ while partitioning the table we have several options. One is partition by range, the second is partition by list, the third is partition by hash.
Okay.
These are the three ways in which you can partition a table: list, hash, list, range, hash. Also we can create a composite partition. It is nothing but a combination of range and list, or list or hash, combination of both the partition types. It's nothing but a composite partition. Now I'm trying to create a partition table with partition by range. So I'm specifying it as partition by range. After that, we have to specify partition. Open brace, partition p1 values term. One second. మీకు ఈ డాక్యుమెంట్ పంపిస్తాను. ఇప్పటివరకు నేను చెప్పిందంతా ఈ 2 డాక్యుమెంట్స్లో ఉంటుంది. వర్డ్ డాక్యుమెంట్స్లో నేను పంపిస్తాను.
Okay. Yeah.
అంటే ఇప్పటివరకు స్టార్టింగ్ క్లాస్ నుంచి ఇప్పటివరకు చెప్పిన ఒక 2 వర్డ్ డాక్యుమెంట్స్ ఉంటాయి. అది ఒకసారి పంపిస్తాను. మేబీ అన్ని కవర్ చేయకపోవచ్చు కానీ మోస్ట్ ఆఫ్ ద థింగ్స్ ఆర్ కవర్డ్.
Okay.
ఓకే.
Okay, I want to put all the employees whose employee number is less than 20 into partition called as P1. And now I'm specifying here partition by range. So I have to specify on which column I am partitioning actually. Here partition by range itself, on the partition by range itself, I have to specify on which column I am partitioning. So let us first we'll do like this. Partition P2 values less than 30. Partition P3 values less than 40. Okay. It will not execute, it will error out. We'll go and modify it again. Okay. The first thing is we have to add some comma. Here we have to specify the column name, partition by range of, I'm going for department number. The employees who belongs to department number 20, less than 20, will go to partition P1. In a similar way, P3, P2 and P3. Missing partition key. Okay. Correct అనే
Table space name on last.
అది అవసరం లేదండి. ఓకే, ఫస్ట్ మ్యాక్సిమైజ్ చేసుకుంటాను. షిట్. బా హంగ్ అయిపోయింది. Okay, I'll do one thing. I'll just disconnect here. Oracle home. Network admin. I know the buffer file is afi.edt.buff. So I'm going to that location and I'm modifying the content with Veditor here itself. Okay. Yeah, here at the end we have the comma. We should not have the comma there. That is costage. I'll just copy the content. The hunger and okay. I'll try again. Okay. So this is how we'll create the partition table. It is similar to create table. The only thing is we have to specify partition by range or list, and then on which column you are trying to partition. After that, you'll specify the partition names, and then what should be the criteria in order to go the data into each and every partition. Okay.
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 Now, if I do insert into emp underscore temp underscore partition, select star from emp underscore temp, where department number equal to 10. I'm just inserting some set of rows because maybe I don't have sufficient space. I'm just going for department number 10 and 20 from emp underscore temp. Okay.
Okay.
This itself will be in lakhs. యాక్చువల్లీ ఇప్పుడు ఈరోజు చెప్పిన క్లాస్లోనే ఇంకా ఎక్స్టెంజెస్ చాలా ఉంటాయి దీంట్లోనే. ఇప్పుడు పార్టిషన్ లోనే ఇంకా టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ ఇండెక్సెస్ ఉంటాయి, మళ్ళీ డిఫరెంట్ ఇండెక్సెస్. కానీ టైం చాలా ఎక్కువైపోతుంది ఇప్పుడు అని చెప్పాలి. డిపెండ్స్ అండి. ఇంకా అంటే కొన్ని చిన్న కంపెనీలో ఇట్ విల్ కాంబినేషన్ ఆఫ్ అప్లికేషన్ డిబి యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ కోర్ డిబి.
ఓకే. సో ఈ టాపిక్స్ అన్ని అప్లికేషన్ డిబి కిందకి వస్తాయా?
యా, అప్లికేషన్ డిబి కిందకి వస్తాయి.
ఓకే.
యాక్చువల్లీ ఇది హంగ్ అయిందండి. It actually hung. It is not taking a lot of time. It actually hung. The reason for that is archival destination was filled up. Okay. Now it has sufficient space. We'll go to the alert log and we'll check it out. ఇలా చేస్తే ఏంటంటే -f ఇస్తే ఫీడ్ అవుతుంది. I mean, in case if it is if Oracle is trying to update anything in the alert log, it will also be showed up. 30 lines plus ఇంకా కంటిన్యూస్ గా చూపిస్తూనే ఉంటుంది. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ చూడండి, Oracle instance test cannot allocate log, archival required. Thread 1 cannot allocate new log sequence. All online logs needed archiving. Okay, I'll do Control C again. Maybe it may not work. సో యూజువల్ గా ఏ ఇష్యూస్ వచ్చినా కానీ ఫస్ట్ అలర్ట్ లాగ్ లో చూడాలండి.
ఓకే. ఓకే.
నేను యాక్చువల్గా కరెంట్ ఆర్కైవ్ లాగ్స్ ని కూడా డిలీట్ చేశాను, ఇష్యూ అది. కానీ చూద్దాం ఒకసారి. గ్రూప్ నంబర్, స్టేటస్ ఆర్కైవ్ ఫ్రమ్ బీటాలర్ లాగ్. ఓకే, ఇట్ సేస్ ఇవి ఆర్కైవ్ అవ్వలేదు అని, బట్ యాక్చువల్లీ దే వర్ ఆర్కైవ్డ్ అండ్ ఐ డిలీటెడ్ దెమ్. ఇప్పుడు ఇంకేం చేయలేమండి, ఇది వి షుడ్ క్యాన్సిల్ ఇట్ యాక్చువల్లీ. సో వాట్ ఐల్ డూ, ఐల్ గో అండ్ కిల్ ద సెషన్. సో అది చేయడానికి ps-cf ఐల్ యూస్ grep local grep yes. So this will give me the local connection and this is the process ID. So I'll just go ahead and kill that process 18190. Okay, it is done, it is killed.
Okay.
alter system archive log, alter system checkpoint global. Okay. This may help. Okay. యా ఇక్కడ చూడండి ఇప్పుడు వచ్చింది. ఇట్ సేస్ థ్రెడ్ లాక్ 398 నాట్ ఆర్కైవ్, నో అవైలబుల్ డెస్టినేషన్స్,
Okay.
df minus h. ఓకే, నౌ వీ హ్యావ్ సఫిషియంట్ స్పేస్. యాక్చువల్లీ 3.5 GB ఉందండి ఇప్పుడు, కానీ అది ఇంకా దాంట్లో స్పేస్ లేదు అనుకుంటుంది. షో పారామీటర్ లాగ్ అండర్ స్కోర్ ఆర్కైవ్ అండర్ స్కోర్ స్కోర్ 1. Okay, location backup ఉంది, but it's still thinking that there is no sufficient space. What I will do, alter system set log underscore archive underscore dest underscore 1 equal to location equal to slash backup. జస్ట్ మళ్ళీ చేంజ్ చేసిన, ఊరికే సేమ్ వాల్యూతో మళ్ళీ చేంజ్ చేసిన.
ఓకే.
ఓకే, ఓకే. ఆటోమేటిక్ గా ఇప్పుడు అది ఇందాకేమో 100% రీచ్ అయింది కదా, మళ్ళీ చెక్ చేసుకోవట్లేదు అనమాట. సో దాన్ని ఫోర్స్ చేస్తాం మళ్ళీ చెక్ చేసుకోమని. నౌ ఇట్ ఈస్ ఏబుల్ టు ఆర్కైవ్ ది కంటెంట్.
Okay.
త్రీ రీడ్ లాక్ ఫైల్స్ ఆర్కైవ్ చేయాలి కాబట్టి టైం పడుతుంది. చూడండి 88, 18, 90 3 గ్రూప్స్ ని చేసి నౌ ఇట్ గివ్ మీ ది కంట్రోల్ బ్యాక్.
Okay.
యా, మళ్ళీ ఆ ఇన్సర్ట్ స్టేట్మెంట్ ఇష్యూ చేస్తాను. చూడండి ఇన్సర్ట్ స్టేట్మెంట్ అన్ని ఆర్కైవ్లోకి సెండ్ చేస్తున్నాం. ఓకే, we don't have sufficient space and under TBS.
Okay.
ఆ రోజు ఎగ్జాంపుల్ కోసం చూపించే కదా.
Uh,
ఆల్ ద సిస్టమ్స్ Okay, I'll go ahead and change under table space to under TBS1.
okay.
ఒక్క బిగ్ టేబుల్ మీద ట్రాన్సాక్షన్ చేసేసరికి ఎన్ని ఇష్యూస్ వస్తున్నాయి. ఓకే, నౌ I'll have sufficient space. I'll go ahead and perform the insert. ట్రిపుల్ ఐటీ కదా అది. ఓ ఐఐటి మెదక్లో ఓపెన్. Okay, now the rows are inserted. Let us issue the commit. Now if you select star from, I'll do select count of star from emp underscore temp partition p1.
empty underscore temp underscore partition something.
Oh yeah.
Or partition underscore temp. I mean table name చెప్తే
ఇక్కడ ఉందండి emp temp partition.
Yeah.
So if you see here in partition p1 there are 39 lakh rows. In a similar way, if I go for partition p2, c/p1/p2, there are 65 lakh rows.
Okay.
c/p2/p3, no rows. So these are, I mean like ఇప్పుడు డిపార్ట్మెంట్ నెంబర్ 10 ది దీంట్లో ఉంది, 20 దీంట్లో ఉంది అనమాట.
Okay.
Yeah. So these are will select the information from each and every partition. Select count of star from table name, partition of partition name. In a similar way, if you want to do partition by list, you can also do the same command. You'll specify partition by list here. Instead of range, we'll specify partition by list. After that, partition P1 and the value is less than, right? I went for range. So that is the reason why I specified less than. But if I'm going for partition by list, I have to specify list of values. For example, if I want to go, if I want to store Mohan and Shiva in one partition, so I'll give partition space P1 values, and within the brackets I'll specify Mohan, comma Shiva. So that is how you'll do partition by list. For partition by hash, you don't need to do anything. You just specify partition by hash of column name, and then you'll specify the partition, how many number of partitions you want. Automatically Oracle internal function, hash function, depending upon that hash function, it will distribute the data into different partitions. You don't need to specify any criteria. Just you have to specify partition by hash and then partition P1, partition P2 and partition P3. That's it. And in most of the cases you'll use range and list rather than hash. Okay? Okay, then I'll wind up the class. నేను డాక్యుమెంట్స్ పంపిస్తాను, ఒకసారి రిఫర్ చేయండి.
ఓకే. రేపు మళ్ళీ సాయంత్రం మోహన్ రేపు 8 o'clock.
రేపు 8 o'clock.
ఓకే ఓకే.
యా
ఓకే.
యా ఓకే దెన్ బాయ్. బాయ్ శివ.